In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the rear forward lower control arms on this Volkswagen Tiguan. These are going to be located underneath the rear suspension. Let's get into it. In the back, behind this cover, just twist to the left, pop that out. You can see where this is held down. We're just going to pop this holder off, pull the jack out. There's a utility bag right here. Open up the utility bag. And you want to find this pick. We're going to use that. Take the hook tool. We're going to remove these caps. Just go in the center, grab the cap, pull it out. Using a 17mm socket, take the lug bolts out. Before I take the last one off, I'm just going to hold the wheel so it doesn't fall. And just grab the wheel and pull it off. I'm going to take the lower sway bar link nut off. I'm going to use some locking pliers on the back side so that the stud won't spin. Just attach those. Using a 16mm socket, take this nut off. That comes off. Just using a pry bar, just going to pry this down. I'm going to take that stud out. Take the locking pliers off. I'm just using a pull jack underneath the control arm. I'm just going to raise up on the suspension. And the reason why we're raising up the suspension is because the axle is in the way of this sway bar bracket. So we're going to take that bolt off. So if we raise that up, the axle moves out of the way. Just be careful. Should be good there. Now we're going to take these bolts out with a M10 triple square socket. Those bolts out. I just grab the sway bar. We're just going to pull that down so we can access that bolt. Use a 18mm socket. You can get on that bolt. I'm going to start to loosen it. Use an 18mm wrench on the nut. There you go, take that nut out. I'm just going to use a hammer. Just give the bolt a tap. And just pull that bolt out. There we go, there's the bolt. This arm is loose. And you can just use a pry bar. Just pry this down. There we go. That's loose. Using a 21mm socket, we're going to loosen up this bolt. There's a nut right here. Once we start loosening it, we'll put a wrench on the nut. There we go. All right, it's starting to loosen up. Watch out, the arm is loose now. And use a 21mm wrench. Take the nut off. There's a little spacer right there. Take that off. Take that off. Take the bolt. You got this square washer. Use a new bolt. And then you're going to go through the arm. Then you have a spacer. Get this lined up. Go through the hole. Take the nut and get the nut started. And line this up. Just going to use a rubber mallet, just give it a tap. Tap it in place. And I'm going to have to pull that in a little. I'm just going to use the pry bar. Just pull this slightly in between the bolt and the caliper bracket. And take the bolt. Get that started. There we go. Go through. All right, that's through. And take the nut. Get the nut on. And we'll start tightening that up. And before you tighten it down all the way, you want to make sure the vehicle is as close to ride height as possible. So you can raise up the pole jack if you need to, but this looks good. And tighten the bottom one. Snug that down and then we'll torque it. And we're going to torque this bolt and nut to 95 foot-pounds. I'm going to torque the upper bolt and use an 18mm wrench on the bolt, 18mm socket. We'll torque this to 70 foot-pounds. Take the sway bar, get that lined up, and get the bolt started. And the lower one. Tighten those down. Take the lower part of the link, put the bolt through, the stud, get that lined up, get the nut started. I'm going to use a 15mm socket. I'm going to use a 13mm wrench on the back. If you used locking pliers before, you can do that. Just get this tightened up. And we want to torque that to 48 foot-pounds. That's good. And lower the pole jack.
After finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle.
Now install the wheel. Line up the holes. Take the lug bolt, get that started. the other ones on. Snug those down. Now we're going to torque the lug bolts to 89 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Go around again, double check. Take the caps, get those lined up, and push those on. Now take the pick tool, put that back in the utility bag. We'll wrap this up. And just tie it up. Place that back inside here. I'll take the jack, get that lined up. This little tie down, just pull that through. Take the door, slide the two little tabs in the base, and then twist it closed.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.